Okay, I know this is going to sound confusing, but basically with the battery out, you want to test one end of the lead of your ground and go to another part of a ground for resistance and continuity. What you want to get is, I've got that one on the negative cable that would go on the battery. I come over here and I picked a chassis ground. This one, connect it. It goes to 0. I let off, outside the limits, touch it, 0. That means there's continuity. That means electricity would be able to flow from that end through the whole thing over to this ground. Okay? Now, same thing, but I'm going to go to the alternator ground, which is down in here, and touch it. Which means it's infinite. It's going to go infinite. It means there's a short in the wiring between there and here. The problem is, Dawn, I could be here 3 days. This wiring harness goes down. Goes down there, takes a turn, wraps up and around, goes behind the engine, and all of it is all sealed with this electrical tape. I'd have to pull all this electrical tape, pull this whole harness out, and start testing at different points to find out where the break in the line is. What's happening, I know now, I had no way of knowing this, and it's not a standard test when you replace an alternator. Alternator was shown that it was bad, so replace the alternator. What's going on is there's a short somewhere inside this wire, and when I disconnect it to do the alternator, which is what you're supposed to do, I'm moving it, it's disturbing this wire. There's a kink in this wire somewhere in the path, and it's disturbing it. So when I hooked it back up this time, when I took it off to have the alternator bench tested, I moved this wire out of the way, came back, hook it up, put it in here, and now all of a sudden I keep blowing the main battery fuse. I can't even get, like, I go to put the negative terminal on the battery, and it just arcs and smokes, and then it blows the battery fuse over there, this 100 amp fuse. I've blown 2 of them. That blue one, it's for your battery, 100 amps. I've blown 2 of them, spent 20 bucks. Both of them blow as soon as I touch it. So, by doing the alternator and doing the test that you have to do to make sure that I have to start with the basis of knowing if the alternator is good. When I take this off, I'm disturbing something in here, and now I can't find that sweet spot to get it to stay. So, I don't know what to do. I'm about to call Uncle because I had a window, but this is bad. I have to peel and get a lot of shit out of the way to get to this wiring harness all the way. And after that wiring harness takes its turn through the engine and under and over the river and through the woods, it comes through different parts of the frame, like this in the wheel well. It'll come through holes like this to ground at different points. If I put it down here on these points, it's doing the same thing. It just keeps climbing infinitely. And I've cleaned these spots down with sandpaper and got these connections nice and clean, all nice and bright. So those are the best connections you're going to get. And I'm getting the same thing down here. As soon as I touch this end, that meter starts climbing and it just keeps on going. So this whole wiring harness has an issue inside of it. It goes up, comes out right there, and then it goes up this way and up to here into this ABS motor. The other end, the wiring harness comes up and goes through this wiring harness, comes all the way across, darts down into here and comes up to this fuse box. But when you watch, the harness also goes up here, takes dives and starts climbing through. There's a ground down here. All of these wires under here are all going to be tied in with this somehow. They share common grounds. The harness goes down there. I mean, it goes everywhere. This is so bad.